Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing great because finally, it's been, almost 3 weeks, but I am back. And in case you guys didn't know, I was gone so long because I was studying abroad. And it was absolutely amazing, but I did miss home at the same time. But now I'm back and I'm ready to get back into uploading. Although, funny enough, I said before I left, oh please don't let anything big happen while I'm gone, because I didn't want to miss it. But now I'm starting to regret saying that because pretty much nothing has happened since I was gone. Like, in a time span of almost 3 weeks, pretty much nothing major has happened as far as I know. I mean, obviously, there's been some events with regards to politics and everything, but I'm talking gaming specifically. In fact, so little happened while I was gone that the most notable thing had to do with Harman Smith. Because I'm sure all of you know at this point, but Harman actually played Elden Ring. And from what I've heard and from looking at Gar's videos and everything, he actually enjoyed it. But of course, is he gonna admit that he enjoyed it? No. He's way too committed to hating on the game at this point. And of course, swallowing his pride is too much to ask. Which is ironic because Harman is clearly very good at swallowing an assortment of items. Interpret that statement as you wish. But yeah, Harman's been in complete denial over the fact that he actually enjoyed Elden Ring, and now, recently, he has made a video port begging for the game, saying that it could obviously run on the Switch. Which, no, absolutely not. If it could run on the Switch, then FromSoft would put it there. But given the fact that the Switch is as powerful as a TV remote, they haven't done it yet. Nor will they likely ever do it. So for the sake of keeping things fresh, because obviously Gar has covered this topic before, we're gonna take a look at his most recent video on the subject, keep it fresh. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this.
There is absolutely no way that Elden Ring, a PS4 game, could not run on Nintendo Switch. We have Doom Eternal, we have Hogwarts Legacy, we have Mortal Kombat 1. What exactly is so demanding about Elden Ring that it makes it completely impossible to have a Nintendo Switch port?
You know what I just thought of that I can't believe I didn't think of sooner? This is like that one SpongeBob clip, which I feel like I say that a lot, but it's true, where Squidward tries a Krabby Patty and ends up loving it, and then he tries to hide it from SpongeBob, and then SpongeBob finds out about it, and he's like, "You like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?"
No, wait, it's not what you think. This is a big misunderstanding. You've got to believe me. Listen, I am telling you, you better listen to me, SpongeBob.
You like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?
And no, I'm not even going to attempt to do a SpongeBob voice. Do I sound like I can do a SpongeBob voice? Whatever, it reminds me of that scene. But whatever, I love that he says, oh, we have Hogwarts Legacy and Doom Eternal, why can't we have Elden Ring? He says those games run on the Switch. No, they more so walk or maybe even crawl on the Switch. They definitely do not run. Terrible resolutions, terrible graphics. I mean, hell, look at this Digital Foundry clip of them talking about Hogwarts on the Switch.
Hogwarts Legacy on Nintendo Switch is one of the most comprehensively downgraded games I've seen in the modern era. Very few titles, even when ported to a low-power platform like the Switch, have been pruned and restructured to this degree.
Hogwarts had to be restructured, and both Hogwarts and Doom Eternal took extra time to come out on the Switch because the devs had to downgrade the game so much. And that's not to mention games like Doom Eternal are much less demanding than Elden Ring. And you say Elden Ring is a PS4 game? No, dude, it's a PS5 game that got downgraded for the PS4. Have you seen Elden Ring running on a PS4 or an Xbone? What does it run at? Like 720p or less, I'm pretty sure. And it can't even hit 30 FPS a lot of the time. There's no way in hell that game is getting ported to the Switch unless they like take out grass entirely or something. And I'm saying all of this while ignoring the obvious question. If Elden Ring is so bad and you hate it so much, why do you want it on the Switch so bad? I would love to hear your explanation.
I said this when the game first came out, and I'm gonna say it now that I've actually played it. This game is basic. It's simplistic. It is easy to run shit. This game should have been on Nintendo consoles day one. Like, no excuses, no justifications. Like, this really should have come out day one, right? This is like on the same level of, Persona 5 or Nier Automata or Yakuza or Tekken. Like,
I love it. He's so mad and he's trying so hard to hide it. He's kept up this facade that he hates the game for so long, and now that he's actually tried it and he likes it, he's so pissed that it's not on the Switch. Hey Harman, guess what? Elden Ring is not a basic game in any way whatsoever. Whether you're talking gameplay or in terms of how easy it is to run. I'm not saying it's like super demanding or anything like that, but again, the PS4 and the Xbone versions of this game already run like absolute crap. There is no way this game is running on the Switch. And honestly, I don't even know why you're so upset about this, considering you have a quote-unquote high-end gaming PC. Which, if you do truly have a high-end gaming PC, by the way, that's not a good way to judge whether a game is easy to run or not, because, you know, it's high-end. Maybe if you played the game on a PS4 or an Xbone, you would understand why it hasn't come to the Switch, and why it probably will never come to the Switch. Then again, Harman has less understanding of technology than my grandmother, so I don't know what I'm expecting.
Ace Combat 7, One Piece Odyssey, like all of these like third-party games that are clearly not super cutting edge, that are clearly not that demanding, that have more cartoonish art styles or are more appealing to the Nintendo audience. Why exactly are these games not coming to Switch?
Because the games are more demanding than you're letting on or than you think. Just because a game has a cartoony art style doesn't mean it isn't demanding. And plus, even if a game isn't very demanding, the Switch is still incredibly weak. Even a game like Fall Guys is locked to 30 FPS on the Switch. Just accept it, Harman. The Switch is incredibly underpowered, and despite all the cope you try to throw out there, most modern AAA games can't run on the Switch, which is why they're not released there.
It is, of course, like companies trying to do that thing where they try to pander to Sony, where they like release everything on like Sony approved platforms, right? They're doing everything they can to try to keep Nintendo like irrelevant. But again, there was no reason to wait a year and a half for One Piece Odyssey, right? There was no reason to wait 5 years for Ace Combat 7.
Okay, I have no idea about Ace Combat 7 or One Piece Odyssey, but I want to talk about that claim that they're only allowed to release games on Sony-approved platforms, because this argument falls apart the second you realize that most AAA third-party games are released on Xbox and PC. Why would Sony approve for games to be released on Xbox? In fact, why would FromSoft care what Sony thinks, at least when it comes to Elden Ring? Most of Elden Ring's sales came from PC. Oh my god, dude, my brain is like actually melting right now. There you go, guys. That's why Elden Ring isn't on the Switch and other AAA games. Not because they can't run on it, but because Sony told a completely separate company they weren't allowed to do it. Pure genius. Why did nobody else think of this before? Oh wait, it's because nobody else is stupid enough to think of this. Harman's thoughts are so dumb you have to lack brain power to have them. I never thought I would say that. To use your brain in this way, you have to not have brain power. That is weird to think about.
There was no reason to like wait for Kingdom Come Deliverance or any of this stuff. Like if these games could be ported to Switch, why were they not on there day one? And I want it to be commonly known, Tears of the Kingdom is more demanding than Elden Ring. You know, there's way more going on in the open world, the enemy AI is better, the bosses are more interesting, the environments are more well thought out, the...
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
In no way is Tears of the Kingdom harder to run than Elden Ring. Elden Ring has way better graphics and way more dense environments. And guess what? Interesting boss designs don't make games harder to run. So I don't even know why that was brought up. And you say, oh, why wasn't this stuff on the Switch day one? Again, either there was a third-party exclusivity contract, or in the cases of Hogwarts and Doom Eternal, guess what, Harman? The Switch is just that weak that the devs have to take extra time to get the game running on it. Deny it all you want, it's the truth. I'm sorry, I'm just still caught up on the fact that he said Tears of the Kingdom is harder to run than Elden Ring. Like, dude, you cannot be serious. We've debated in the past whether Harman is a troll. He has to be. Surely no human being could unironically think like this. Surely, right?
The world is bigger and more interesting. Like, you know, there's actual color in Breath of the Wild, you know, an unheard of thing in Elden Ring. Like, The frame rate is better, like the combat is more fluid. You won't hear Elden Ring fans ever admit that, but
Dude, that sigh is exactly how I feel watching this video right now. Ain't no way he said Elden Ring has no color and that the combat is less fluid than Tears of the Kingdom. And there's no shot he said Tears of the Kingdom runs better when it is locked to 1080p at the most at 30 FPS. I can run Elden Ring at 4K 60 on my computer if I wanted to. I have a 1080p monitor, so I'm not, obviously. But the gameplay you're seeing right here, it's 60 FPS. 1080p, and the game looks visually much better. You can argue that Tears of the Kingdom's art style is better, but in terms of which one looks more realistic, Elden Ring absolutely takes that. I've said it a million times, but you can have an opinion on something. You can think Tears of the Kingdom is better than Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild is better than Elden Ring, whatever. But when you say stuff that's blatantly untrue, like Tears of the Kingdom runs better than Elden Ring, that's when there's a problem, because not only are you lying to your audience at that point, you're lying to yourself. And, you know, being in denial is not exactly a very healthy thing.
Like, again, it's obvious that Zelda is better than Elden Ring. The only reason you see people, like, throw up their arms and try to pretend otherwise is because they need to keep up the illusion. They need to justify other consoles existing.
I mean, what about me, Harman? I'm only on PC, and I like Elden Ring much better than Zelda. I don't say Elden Ring is good to justify the existence of the PlayStation and Xbox. I say I like Elden Ring because I like Elden Ring. And that goes for most people. Most people like games just because they like them, not because they have brand loyalty or anything like that. And plus, with this logic, couldn't I say you're pretending to like Zelda just so you can justify the Switch's existence or something? God, this logic is dumb.
And again, if you start and think about it for even like 2 seconds, you realize that like the progression of the refusal for third parties to develop for Nintendo Switch makes no sense, considering it is the market leader, considering it does have the best Nintendo games. Like, what exactly are companies gaining by religiously releasing everything on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation, but not Nintendo Switch?
Well, you see, Harman, people mostly buy Nintendo consoles just for Nintendo games, and maybe a couple other games as well. People don't buy Nintendo consoles for third-party games. That's why Xbox and PlayStation and PC exist. Games run better on those systems, and third-party games actually sell well on those systems. If a company isn't putting a game on the Switch, it's either because 1, the Switch can't run it, or 2, the amount of sales they would get from the Switch is so low that it's not even worth it. Although I guarantee most of the time when a company doesn't release their game on the Switch, it's because the Switch just can't run it. But what do I know? Harman's clearly the expert here.
It isn't due to horsepower, and even if it was, like, all they would have to do to get around it was just develop for Nintendo consoles first. There is no justification for how these corporations are acting, and it is up to the investors and the consumers to demand that Nintendo fans get third-party releases day and date.
Nah, it's up to Nintendo to actually make hardware that can run the games. You know, that's a pretty important step. And also, why would developers develop for the Switch first and then all the other platforms later, when they're probably not going to get many sales on the Switch, and downgrading their game for the Switch first and then putting it on the other platforms later would severely hurt the game? You're acting like if the game came out on the Switch, it would suddenly get like 100 million extra sales. Yes, the Switch has sold like, what, 130 million consoles or something like that. That doesn't mean all those people are gonna buy third-party games on the Switch. Again, most of these people have the Switch as a secondary console, and they have an Xbox or a PlayStation or a PC primarily for those bigger third-party games. Hell, even if the Switch right now was the same power as the PS5 and the Series X, it's still lacking so many features, especially when it comes to online multiplayer, that people would still choose to play the games on Xbox or PlayStation anyway. I'm legitimately starting to wonder, will Harman ever recognize the fact that maybe these other companies aren't the problem, and maybe they would put their games on Nintendo consoles if 1, they would actually get sales, and 2, they could actually run well? The answer, of course, is no. He's never going to realize that.
There is no reason for Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Dingaling to not come out day and date with the other versions. Like, these games should have Nintendo Switch ports.
And now he's port begging for Baldur's Gate 3 as well. You can't make this up. The mask like really slipped off in this video. Harman's like actually exposing himself much worse than usual. He's now port begging for Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3 and denying the fact that the Switch is incredibly weak and can't run either game. This was interesting to say the least. But honestly, I'm just glad I found something to talk about. So thank you to Harman for continuing to be as delusional as always. I know whenever I'm out of stuff to talk about, I can always go to him and find something. But yeah, anyway guys, with all that being said, that's gonna do it for this video. I actually had a lot of fun making this video, and I'm just glad to be back. Studying abroad is temporary, but YouTube is eternal. Or something like that, I don't know. Whatever, I just want to say before I go, thank you all so much for sticking with me. I actually think I came back with more subs than when I left, which is very surprising, so I really do appreciate it. And I probably will be kind of busy over the next couple weeks, especially as I have to start getting back into school and everything, but I'm gonna upload as much as I can, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future. Hopefully some actual big news comes out soon, but we shall see. So yeah, with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will catch you all next time.